And welcome to another episode of Teacher Tips. I am here on this cold October day at Roosevelt Elementary with Mrs. Morgan Wentz, who teaches first grade. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
And October, as we all know, is Parent-Teacher Conference Month. So we're here to talk a little bit about parent-teacher conferences and just have a few reminders for all the families out there. So first things first, to begin, just as a reminder for everyone, when exactly are parent-teacher conferences scheduled this year?
So this semester we run for 2 full days, so October 23rd and October 24th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on both days.
Okay. So here at the elementary schools, about how long should families expect their conference for their individual students to last?
Our conferences each last about 20 minutes, and due to scheduling and to make sure we stay on track, we do stick to that 20 minutes and make sure we don't go any longer than that.
Okay, well that's a lot of content to cover, especially at the elementary, since you're covering their reading and their math and their science and everything. So what does a conference generally consist of?
Our conferences are really conversations about progress students have made up to this point in the quarter. We start with report cards and we go through what grades look like there and where those grades come from, as well as strengths that we're seeing and positive attributes that students are bringing to the classroom so far this year. And then we do address any areas of concern, whether that be behaviorally or academically. So we really just want it to be a conversation about what we're seeing with the student, where they're at, and then we want parents to join in and engage in that conversation as well, and so we can kind of use their voice to make educational decisions for their child.
Well, that's great. So as a parent, what can parents do to make the most out of the time that they're spending with their teacher and get the most out of those conferences?
Yeah, we know a lot of the times parents have lots of questions for us that they don't always get to ask, and so we want parents prior to coming into conferences, we want them to have those questions in mind so that while we have that opportunity and we're sitting down, parents can ask us those questions and we can provide those answers. We also ask, especially in the upper grades, that parents get familiar with Infinite Campus and they check those grades ahead of time, so coming into that conference they kind of know where their child is sitting. And with our younger kids, we ask that parents just go through backpacks and they're checking work and homework and things like that, so they can kind of monitor progress too on their own before they come in and meet with us during conferences.
Well, I think every family, myself included, has had a few surprises when they've come into conferences. So that is a good way to help mitigate some of that. So as a parent, what if I have questions or concerns about my child's progress, either academically or maybe that's socially or behaviorally? How can I bring those issues up?
Like I said earlier, we want parents to have that voice, and we love when they're involved in their child's education. And like you said, Melissa, we have a lot of content to cover during that conference, and we want to make sure that we are addressing those concerns of parents and making sure that they're comfortable with the progress that their child is making in the classroom. And so a lot of the times that 20 minutes just isn't enough, and it comes to us having to schedule another conference with parents just to make sure they're comfortable with what's going on and we're seeing the progress that we need to.
Okay, and what if something does come up and I can't make my scheduled conference?
We have this a lot, and we try to provide times that work for parents regardless of what their job is or what they may be doing, but we understand too that conflicts come up and sometimes they just can't make it in for that scheduled time, so we are willing to reschedule those conferences whenever we need to. It may be during a planning time or before or after school. We try to be flexible to meet the needs of parent schedules and making sure that we are having those conversations regardless of when they happen. And in the past, we have had parents just can't make it in and it's hard for them to get in here, so we have done phone conferences before too if that's necessary.
Oh, that's really good to know. So with there only being 2 conferences usually for an individual student in a school year, what are some other ways that families can keep track of their child's progress or keep in touch with their teacher outside of conferences?
One thing we try to stress is we try to make sure that conversations aren't just happening twice a year with parents where we're sitting down with them once first semester and once second semester. We want to make sure that contact is kind of regular and as frequently as we can make it, so they're aware of the progress their children are making. sometimes we schedule additional conferences if we need to. Otherwise, we encourage parents to check grades and to kind of stay up with what their child is doing in the classroom so they can monitor what's going on at home and what things they're seeing at home that involve school, and then we can have those conversations as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And, just one last time as a reminder to everybody, when are those parent-teacher conferences again?
Parent-teacher conferences are on October 23rd and October 24th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on both days.